IVM.
Hey everybody, welcome to a special episode of the Geek Food Podcast. It's me, Tejas. This week, Jishnu and I are here. Hi, Jishnu.
Hello.
What's happening? How's it going? Where have you been? What's happening?
Well, I've been having a really fine day this morning.
Do you think they were trying to cast Kevin Spacey before this and then it just didn't happen? Yeah,
I hope so now.
I think about it, that Daniel Craig could have been one of the best actors of the generation if he just didn't do James Bond.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. If he didn't do James Bond, he would have just done movies.
Yeah.
He would have been like a Viggo Mortensen in The Green Book. He would have done a bunch of like roles. He's still doing I've not seen Logan Lucky, but apparently that's quite nice and he's good in that.
An equally cartoonish voice.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right. I think I love seeing a post-Bond having so much fun because the other post-Bonds didn't really do so, at least for a while, or at least I don't think I've seen any post-Bond guy have as much fun.
Except Sean Connery.
Maybe Pierce Brosnan in Mamma Mia.
In Pierce Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan's SOS, I think, is equally cartoonish.
He did not a cartoonish, that's the actual voice in the movie The Foreigner with Jackie Chan, and it's the funniest accent ever. It's funny.
Pierce Brosnan?
Yeah.
There's a Brosnan and Jackie Chan movie? Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's The Foreigner, and it's Jackie Chan in a serious role.
Nice.
Yes, he does some of those sometimes.
He did another serious role not too long ago.
Karate Kid.
No.
Yeah, he's a very serious role. He's Miyagi in that.
No, but I mean that's still the Karate Kid. It's like it only gets so serious.
Oh, as in like
there's like Old Man Taken. It was maybe like 2 years ago. He plays some grandfather who's like...
You're thinking of The Foreigner. This is the same movie.
Is that The Foreigner?
Yeah, he's something about family.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it's the same. Right. It's the same. Okay, so this week we're talking about a new movie. Not an IP, not a sequel, not a prequel, not an anything.
An original thought.
An original movie. Well, technically, it's in the genre which has had like many iterations of, but it's a spin on.
But isn't that every genre?
Whodunit. Yes, you're right.
Every genre has people doing things on them.
I don't know if it's a trend.
What?
Because only 2 movies that have come out so far, but maybe
Midnight Express or whatever that was called. Orient Express.
Murder on the Orient Express, Jishnu?
Murder on the Express Midnight.
Oh my God, yeah. Midnight Express.
Express Yourself, Midnight Edition.
No, that's a very famous book by Agatha Christie, and featuring my favorite sleuth, Hercule Poirot.
Poirot. Who played him again in that one?
Kenneth Branagh.
Ah, right.
With a ridiculous mustache. It was amazing. Okay, that movie was very, not average. It was fine. But the problem with Murder on the Orient Express, it's like Mousetrap. It's like everybody knows the story. It's a very, very popular, if not the most popular Agatha Christie novel, because it's got one of the most amazing endings, and it did a twist on the genre that she kind of almost perfected. So that's why it was very famous. But we've seen the ending of that. However, 2 movies which came out in the last few years. Well, one is which we're reviewing right now, which is Knives Out by Rian Johnson, written and directed by. And the previous one was Murder Mystery on Netflix, starring Jennifer Aniston and Adam Sandler, and is excellent as well.
Is it?
It is also a take on the genre, and except obviously that's a satire spoof of the genre, and it is quite good. And it takes all the elements of the, like a house or like a murder mystery, how many suspects, and it kind of plays off of that, and it's quite enjoyable for a Netflix film. And Adam Sandler just killing it in the last
another person who surprised me with how good their murder mystery was, also on Netflix, also in the last year or 2 years. Season 4, episode something, Fuller House. The girls, the She-Wolf pack, go on a booze cruise, and on said cruise is a pearl necklace that gets stolen, and it is up to none other than
They have run
DJ
out of
Tanner,
shit.
Stephanie Tanner, and Kimmy Gibbler to sleuth their way through that
You're
episode.
right, Jishnu.
And they do.
It's episode 7
It's
of
more-
season 4 and Knives Out.
It's more like a Charlie's Angels than a sleuthing than anything else. But Charlie's Angels are pretty
Tell us, are
good
you
mystery
a fan
peoples.
of the sleuths? Are you a sleuth fan?
I am a sleuth fan. Who doesn't love a good sleuth? But
Oh,
what I will
lots of
say,
people. That's what I
Really?
only want to hear.
people don't. Who doesn't like a good sleuth?
I'll
It's
explain.
like Scooby-Doo, but adult version.
You're right. Well, Scooby-Doo is the kid version.
Yeah.
But that kind of became such a big thing that it kind of almost became the most popular version of the genre. Scooby-Doo.
Form of it, yeah.
Yes, but would you agree? I mean, so we both love this kind of genre.
Yeah,
I
of
grew
course.
up reading. I think I've read almost every Agatha Christie novel with
Oh,
Poirot in it. Watched all the shows. I'm
I've just
actually
seen the
watching
show.
one.
I haven't read her stuff, but I've seen the original.
And those shows were
TV show.
like Sherlock, the new Sherlock
Yeah.
with Benedict. Those are like made for TV movies essentially, and they were like
Right.
an hour
Right.
and change long, and they're all excellent. And David Suchet is in it, and he's amazing. And he kind of he's the icon in that role. Anyway, but that genre, and tell me if you agree, is that it's most the whodunit or the sleuth genre has been best like portrayed as a period piece, or do you think it's like a western, which is that it worked only that genre works best in that setting, which is where there's no telephones, no real. I mean, of course, Knives Out is the exception to now almost prove the rule, but like it takes a lot from the period piece of the genre, which is that
Right.
lots of like old clocks, little hidden cabinets, this,
Yeah.
that, all of that stuff, footprints. There's no CSI, there's
Sure.
no Sherlock using blood work. I don't know. There's not, or I feel like it was almost always best.
Does it need
known
to
in that.
live in that time? I mean,
Yeah.
yes and no, but I think that's the case with every kind of genre, isn't it? It's like that's the point of every genre is to get, like, at birth, people are like, what the hell is this? This makes no sense. And if you're lucky, it works. And then if you're really lucky, it catches on, and then everybody does it until somebody's willing to push it. And now finally, I think this guy has done a pretty damn good job of pushing it, because
Yes.
this movie is brilliantly self-referential a lot of times. I think they name drop the house looks like a clue board at some
Yeah.
point and things like that. So I mean,
First
like,
of all-
they know what's going on. So like, I think it's not impossible to push out of the tradition, especially considering that the genre, like we said, has kind of fallen out of favor recently.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of been completely bullied out by the superhero genre
Yes.
as far as
Yes,
box
very
office figures
true,
are
very
concerned. And I think that like people can appreciate real, practical, simple play more than anything else, because they almost never leave that house. So like,
it seems to be a small budget-ish compared to his
exactly.
previous film.
They spend all the money on the people, and like, all right, now we can't really afford more than that. Let's get
I
a
don't
really
even
great
think-
set designer. Let's get a great costume designer,
Exactly.
and like call it at that. Like, no VFX involved, and let's just
I think
do it all in camera and keep it nice and
even
simple.
the cast must have just been. He's just like, yo, I'm just making this small film.
Yeah.
Do you wanna? And he's Rian Johnson, director of Last Jedi and other amazing films,
Mm-hmm.
except Looper. And he just must have called on, and everyone was like, yeah, of course.
That's why Chris Evans only shows up halfway through. He's like, let me finish
Listen,
Endgame and then I'll get
I'm
back
just
to you.
busy being Cap,
Yeah.
like which he kind of does not know how to get out of
Pretty much.
in this film as well. But I mean, he does fine. Everyone is
He does
pretty
great.
Yeah, he does great.
Sweaters killing the game.
Yes, too many sweaters.
No, not enough.
Not enough.
Not enough
but
sweaters.
But great cardigan work.
So good.
I will say that this movie does a lot of great things in, well, not pushing the genre forward, but in the sense that it's like watching a western right now. Apart from the Magnificent Seven, which was, I guess, the last western I saw.
Really?
But, which was the new version of it, which Antoine Fuqua, the director
Right.
of The Equalizer and Equalizer 2, some of our favorite movies, starring Mr. Washington. But yeah, so that movie doesn't really change the genre up. It does like a straight up western, but with new actors.
Well-
So this movie kind of had a responsibility to not just give us a throwback film, which is great to watch, but it does push it in a new direction. And it also has lots of subtext, so it kind of
Yes.
does a really, really good job in that. Did you enjoy the film?
I loved it.
Yeah.
But just to go back a second to speaking of westerns, I mean, yeah, you're right. There haven't been all that many, but I just got off a binge of Breaking Bad of like all 5 seasons of it in the run up to El Camino.
Yes.
Which is like in September. I want to
There's a
say.
new documentary also out on it.
Is there
There's an Making El Camino kind of documentary.
a full-length documentary? I know there's
It's
some
like a short thing,
featurettes.
yeah, on Netflix though.
Oh, awesome! I should
Yes,
check it out.
must check
There's
out.
like a 2-hour documentary about the end of season 5.
Okay, that
Or
I've not
the
seen.
making of season 5. It's
Right.
pretty epic.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm getting at is that in my head, I've been consuming a lot of westerns lately because I've been looking for that genre of film or television. And you're right, we're not seeing cowboys as much as we once were, but we are seeing the modern day iteration of it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Knives Out is doing. It's taking a tried and tested form, but it has something to say beyond I can make just another sleuth movie.
Yeah, which you can't guess the ending of.
Which you can't guess the ending of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Breaking Bad did that in that they made a Western, but it was set in a completely different context. But then you have a whole lot of it that at the right moment, at the right time, is literally a Western through and through. And then El Camino carried that forward, quite literally, with ending with a duel and things
Yes.
like that.
Yes.
I'm not even going to touch The Mandalorian because we'll get there in a couple of weeks. So hold your horses.
Yes.
But the other thing I want to say is what I really, really liked about the film, beyond being a really fun sleuth movie and besides incredible performances that were just a treat to watch because they were just so fun, is the fact that the movie actually pulled off something that people have been trying to do a lot lately. And I have seen people not succeed at it quite so well lately, which is push a very relevant, very topical cultural agenda or cultural opinion about varying political issues.
Yeah.
Now, for instance, I think the bad example of this is Infinity and Endgame. I don't know how you're going to get us through that mess. Oh, she's got help. Cut to 20 women. And Infinity War,
Okay.
I don't know how we're going to get through this. Don't worry, she's got help. Cut to 6 women.
Yes.
And heavy-handedness of a very good point that they're trying to make,
Yeah.
but with a complete non sequitur, just pause everything right now in this movie, forget
Yeah.
everything that's happening, and just notice what I'm doing here.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
look
yeah.
at the point I'm making. This movie, I thought, had a brilliant handle on immigration issues.
Yeah, of course.
And not having it intervene in a...
It's not even about the movie's not really about that at all, but it's a very strong
But it's
kind
an
of message
incredibly...
in it. Yeah.
It's a tight thread
Yeah,
that
yeah.
has gone all the way through and dealt with beautifully because unlike, I don't mean to pick on the woman card being played up a lot more these days, but like it's not as heavy-handed as like let's just
Terminator
reboot.
Dark Fate. Did you
No,
watch?
I did. I know. I wouldn't count that. But I
Yeah.
will say because that I thought was actually arguably better than a couple of the other ones I've seen. But I'm thinking of like Ghostbusters reboot and Ocean's
Oh,
8
right.
and things like that. Like for the
Well,
sake
Ocean's
of it.
8 is. I mean, Ocean's 8. I don't think didn't have anything to say within the movie about it, apart from the fact that the movie has
Exactly.
8 women.
So that's what I mean. Like just doing it for the sake of doing it for argument's
Yeah,
sake.
fair enough.
But I thought this was great in that it was basically felt like watching a Looney Tunes cartoon,
Yeah.
but a really clever one, and not only clever, but one that actually had something to say, as
Yeah.
opposed to just making a tangled web that is really hard to untangle.
Yeah, I think a lot of what yes, of course, there's a huge, subtext, a through line about, so the movie is really about the murder of like a patriarch of a family. For those of you who haven't seen it, we are not spoiling it just yet, but like there's a patriarch and he's got a bunch of kids and all of his kids are undeserving, rascals and they all have hidden agendas. Everyone has an agenda and so they all become suspects in this, so to speak, murder. All of them have a motive, and they set that up quite nicely in the first 20 minutes of the film as well, very quickly. And basically it's about how the main suspect becomes, one of the played by Anna de Armas, who's there in Blade Runner and a bunch of other films. And
She's one of the new Bond girls.
Oh yeah,
Really excited to see that.
great. So she's like one of the like nurses of the because he's played by Donald Sutherland. Who's the main guy?
Christopher Plummer.
Sorry, Christopher Plummer. My bad.
Mr. Sound of Music.
Yes, of course. My mother's first crush ever.
Because of Sound of Music?
Yeah. He's hot in that. He's in that. He looks. I mean, well, Fassbender looks exactly like him.
You put a guy with a cropped haircut and a German military uniform.
Looks like Fassbender. But yeah, he does share resemblance. Anyway, so Christopher Plummer's so basically the movie kind of takes a few liberties with the genre and kind of tells you the ending before it happens. I think that's the coolest thing about it. It's like it tells you how everything has happened way earlier than the ending, and you're just like, oh, where do you take it from here now that we kind of are informed about how this movie is supposed to go along? Most whodunits conclude with, and I would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you meddling kids, or with the reveal of who the villain is. But in this movie, we kind of know all the framework of it. At least that's what they make you think, like way earlier on in the film, which is what I thought was so interesting about it, as it kind of inhabits this genre and this space, that I was like, oh, that's the first interesting thing they've done with the model of this film, that they kind of reveal a lot of it early on, and you're just supposed to be along with the ride. And usually I'm not a fan of like knowing more than the characters do, because then you're kind of waiting for everybody to find out. But in this, it's just done really, really cleverly. And also, it still doesn't reveal its cards until the end. So I think that's something that is really, really strong about it. But of course, this girl in the film has a big part of her plot is the fact that she is an illegal immigrant, and that kind of plays into
her mom is.
Her mom is, and and her whole family is kind of dependent on her. So if she loses this job, it's kind of it's very difficult for her. So it's quite
curtains.
interesting. Yeah, it is curtains. Man. So I thought that was really, really cool. But apart from that, they have a lot of other really interesting things. I mean, it's like Toni Collette, who's so good, so amazing.
God
She should have won for Hereditary an Academy Award. I keep saying she should be Academy Award winner, Toni Collette, but she plays like a Gwyneth Paltrow type character.
I loved it.
It is so funny. I would be surprised if it was not based on her and that kind of like, I'm just so like lost in my own world. I have no idea what's going on, and I own a beauty like products company.
Like one thing that I thought was great was that how light-handed the touch was with contextualizing such an old school visual story to modern day times. Like, for instance, when there are a bunch of screaming matches in this movie because it's like watching the Addams Family. It's just like such a giant hodgepodge of such outlandish characters. There are a lot of screaming matches. When there are a lot of screaming matches, there's always one person that the camera wants you to focus on, but there's like 10 people yelling, so the voices just keep on cascading. And I love that those are the moments when they will casually just throw in like, follow me on, I'm not on Twitter anymore, follow me on Instagram instead. Like, what? How is
those
that relevant?
Little, throwaway lines.
Just so many throwaway lines that contextualize it as, this is modern day, even though we're in an 18th century house and you're wearing like tweed jacket and stuff, but it is 2019.
The trooper character, who's the second officer, who's in charge, he's so funny because he's basically us. It's great to have that kind of. And so Rian Johnson, like, this film reminded me so much more of like Brothers Bloom than one of his earlier films than it does of Looper or Looper. So Brothers Bloom, which stars Adrian Brody and Mark Ruffalo and Rachel Weisz, it's like as zany as this one. It's like more of that real shtick in it, and it's got like a twist ending. It's got like a lot of these harebrained kind of antics in it, and it reminded me a lot more of that than of course of his last couple of films. But I just love seeing Rian Johnson's voice. It's very clear that he's written a lot of these bits and bobs in the film, so I really, really enjoyed that. I'll tell you what, let's take a break and we'll come back and talk about some of our favorite bits in the film.
Indubitably.
Hey everybody, welcome to another awesome week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you aren't following us on social media, please make sure you do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Also, quick reminder, please do fill out our survey. It's at ivmpodcast.com/survey. It's a listener survey. We're trying to understand more about who's listening to our stuff, what kind of things you would like to see from us in the future, what you have been seeing so far, what you think of it. what shows you like, all kinds of different stuff. Also who you are, right? So I mean, like, all kinds of different stuff. Just please do come in and fill it out. It would be really helpful. That's ivmpodcast.com/survey. I want to thank our sponsors this week, Cambly, Intel, and Storytel. Remember, sponsors are what make this stuff possible. So if you enjoy the content, please do thank our sponsors. We have 2 new shows releasing this week. Lakshmi Krishnan, better known as Literary Chills on Twitter, talks to agents of literary culture on her show Litnama. She plunges deep into new genres of literature born in the digital era as she talks to the performers, storytellers, bloggers, poets, and writers. New episodes are out every Tuesday from 10th December. The Traveling Professor's Diary is hosted by Siddharth Deshmukh. It's a show about a curious human being with an eagerness for travel and observation. He visits colleges such as MICA, SP Jain, Symbiosis, Flame, Upgrad, Talent Age, and spreads the digital gospel of design, marketing, and business transformation. Episodes are out every Tuesday and Thursday starting 10th of December. This week, The Seen and the Unseen celebrates its 150th episode. Amit is joined by publisher and editor V.K. Karthika. She talks about her journey of publishing and highlights the need of diversity in a publishing house. This week on IVM Likes, Abbas and Alakar are joined by me, Amit Doshi, along with Pawan Srinath, who hosts our Pragati podcast, and Thala Arate. We discuss our favorite fantasy fiction movies, books, and everything else. Do tune in. It's quite a fun conversation. And we talk about all kinds of weird stuff. On Storytellers and Storysellers, Vineet is joined by storyteller Anisha Dixit, better known as Rikshawali, and storyteller Tracy D'Souza, former channel head at TVF's Garlyapa. They talk about the future of women creators in India, how they work with brands, and how their teams perceive them as leaders. On Ganatantra, Saryu and Alok unpack what happened in Maharashtra after the assembly polls, and how the office of the governor has been misused to meddle in state politics. On Edges and Sledges, Ashwin, Varun, and DJ focus on the India vs. West Indies T20 series. On GBCD, Sunetro and Farhad talk about relationships and breakups as they share their experiences of navigating through the same and learn to acknowledge their feelings. It's a crossover on the Empowering series as Zarina is in conversation with Chetna, host of Positivity Unlimited. They talk about her shift from the corporate world to life coaching, about positivity and self-belief. On 9XM Soundcast, Eva is joined by Bollywood singer Benny Dayal. They talk about his experience of working with A.R. Rahman and some of his favorite composers in Bollywood. And with that, let's get on with your show.
So, Jishnu, before we get into talking about Knives Out, let me tell you my terrible experience last night watching this in the theatre.
Oh, no.
Or should I say, theatres.
Uh-oh.
Okay, this is a shout out to PVR. As much shit as I keep giving them about how loud their ads are, at least they can get the projection right.
Oh, God.
I first, so Abhimanyu and I, been on the show before, my flatmate, we went, booked a thing for Fun Republic. I think it's called Cinepolis or Cinemapolis, yeah? Cinepolis. Alright. Went in there and we're waiting. And usually we like going there because the ads are softer and there's the seats are nice, but that, they recline so much that there's no room for your legs anymore because the next seat is reclining back. And anyway, whatever it is. So we went in there and we sat in and blah, 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 whatever, anthem. And then, the movie starts as it does without any titles, and then kind of, after a minute or so, there's the title card. So it starts, and the subtitles which are there are cut in half. And I'm just like, what? Why? Why is the subtitle at the edge of the screen? And then I realize, it's not the full projection. The aspect ratio is wrong. They've scaled it. And then, can you imagine? And I was watching, I was like, are you sure? Maybe the subtitles are wrong? I was like, no, these are hard-coded. And then it shows the title card. The movie which I've been waiting to watch for many weeks. Knives Out. Knives Out.
Oh my God.
Out. Ow. The T has been cropped. And I was just like, what the f***? And everyone, there was an audible gasp in the theater.
Christ.
But nobody got up, nobody said anything. And I was just like, why the f*** is it so difficult to watch a simple movie in India?
Yeah.
And then Abhimanyu and I promptly got up and left. And I was just like, you know what, f*** this. There's another show happening in about 10 minutes. If we just run to the next theater, God bless Andheri. I know people give shit to Andheri, but there are so many theaters and so many options. And so we ran across the road, went to City Mall, and there was a PVR there, and we sat down and watched Knives Out. A good film and a jolly old time at the cinema. How can they do this?
You didn't get your money back, did you?
Of course not. But I'm going to send a tweet. I will send a tweet or two. But, man, terrible. Honestly, you have one job, projectionist.
Jesus Christ. All right. We should move on. This is a cesspool.
This rabbit hole is very... I thought it was important to say this.
We're
a movie podcast.
We'll bitch off air. This won't end well. All right. But...
Yes. Coming back.
The good news is, between this movie and all the Red Dead Redemption I've been playing lately.
Oh, nice.
I feel like I'm surrounded by old prospectors and foghorn leghorn. Like, I now I'm just
That
stuck.
voice,
I'm just stuck with it. It's my whole life. I'm stuck with this voice, and I can't let it go, and I love it.
When he puts on that, when he's there in the beginning, and it's a great entrance for Daniel Craig, and it's awesome. And when he starts talking, I was just like, oh shit, I love it.
Oh, you didn't know that was coming?
No, I didn't see a trailer. I just
really
saw
wish
the
I
teasers.
knew. I wish I didn't. Yeah,
and I just didn't know that this. I saw the cast when it was revealed in that teaser trailer, but there was not much dialogue, if I remember correctly, and I was just like, I don't need to be convinced to watch an Agatha Christie style whodunit with this cast. I was like, yo, and Rian Johnson. I was like, great. Cool. So I didn't know.
Let me throw one at you.
Yeah.
Two things to consider while I was watching this was the timing of its release.
Interesting
by
timing.
a very reputable guy, like you said. It's right around. We're at the start of award season.
We're at start.
We're
ready for Star Wars.
We're in the thick of award season. No.
Oh, but this is not.
But that's the thing. Look at the star cast. Look at the guy who's making it, and I just had a brilliant point which just fell right.
I'm
out of my
so
head.
Sorry.
Oh my goodness!
But
what was I going to say? No.
Something about award season. This cast being cast as an award, and Robert Downey Jr. being pushed for an Oscar, and Toni Collette. I wish she gets nominated. I'm so sorry, but okay. Let me tell you one thing, just to kind of add to this point, since you've now brought it up.
Yeah.
I mean, what's going to happen in the Oscars? It looks like your Irishmans and your Lighthouse, Paddison, William Dafoe. I personally think. I don't know why. I've not seen Lighthouse, but I've heard such incredible reviews, and I know that it's a wonderfully weird film, and Willem Dafoe is at the center of it, and I'm just hoping that it's Willem Dafoe's year because I just love Willem Dafoe. He's my Green
It's
Goblin.
Don Johnson's year at the moment. Between Watchmen and this movie, he's having a great year.
Don Johnson, are you watching Watchmen, by the way? Yeah, so am I. It's great. I thought we were not going to talk about it because...
No, we'll get there. We'll get there.
No, as in
once it's done. Once the season's done.
Because we started this episode talking about, topics of notable quality, like, things that are politically charged right now in the world. And that entire show...
That's a whole...
I had no idea that that's what the show is going to be about. And it's like, it's amazing. And so far, I mean, I have questions, I have thoughts, but we will get to it.
We'll get there. Our January is going to be very...
But Don Johnson.
Star Wars, Mandalorian, and Watchmen heavy. I can see that coming.
Don Johnson, just like
having a great year,
having a moment
he's
again,
having
again.
He's having such a blast. The great thing about the film was also the fact that all these actors, you could see them. They knew what they got into.
Yeah, they know they're having a good. Having a good one.
That's one of the things I'm thinking about. Right, is that like a lot of these guys are so much the archetype of a certain style, which is the exact opposite of this. Yeah. And like,
very true.
It's kind of like, it feels like watching the first time you saw a superhero movie with legitimate actors in it. Like when you saw thespians in the MCU.
The Incredible Hulk, directed by Ang Lee. Or, well, the Hulk by Ang Lee. Ang Lee, first of all, made a Hulk movie. Okay, he was just off of Brokeback, or I think this was before Brokeback. Imagine, he made Hulk, and then he made Brokeback Mountain. How? Anyway, but it's amazing. I love Hulk. Sorry, I think Brokeback is the inferior. Anyway, sorry. That's
I just love seeing
not a joke,
these people have a great time because they could, like, that you're in good hands with Rian Johnson, especially if he's like the thing about
absolutely.
Like when a writer director. When you get somebody that is a writer-director and they've earned their keep, I feel like when I go into a movie like that, I at least have some assurance that I'm in good hands regarding execution start to finish.
Absolutely.
That doesn't mean it's going to be good.
Yes.
That just means it's going to be consistent.
For example, Looper. For example, Baby Driver. Sorry, I know people like this film.
That's what I was going to get at.
Yes.
Not Edgar Wright, but Wes Anderson. Another very specific filmmaker.
Yeah, he's even pushed the genre even further.
This movie basically a Wes Anderson movie with a tiny bit less symmetry. That's all it is. If you just replace the shots with a bit more symmetrical, cropping it into thirds.
I mean, I don't want to use the word quirky because it's overused, especially to describe his work and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think Yeah, maybe you add a narration and make these characters go to 11, then you'll have a Wes Anderson film.
And there were times when Daniel Craig has quite a bit of voiceover going on, like especially when he's like two key scenes when it's basically the first time he's having
basically
a powwow.
narrating the events of what's happening.
like telling us what happened, last night when he's having a powwow with his cops at the beginning, and then when he's explaining the whole thing at the end.
Yeah.
Two very long, drawn, extended scenes with an incredibly cartoonish voiceover, watching an incredibly cartoonish, outlandishly dressed people doing absurd things.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, this is literally Rushmore, but
Very true.
with some depth.
But you're right. I think the only thing I can say about this is that I'm so glad that in the world of superhero films and, big sequels, I mean, I went for this movie, I saw a trailer for Jumanji 2.
Yeah.
And God bless Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, I thought, he's already had films out this year, man. Like, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And he's got Jungle Cruise. I was like, did you need to do Jumanji 2? I was fine with that first Jumanji that he made. It was funny and stupid. But I think he just really wanted to work with Danny DeVito or something. And he was like,
probably.
let's make Jumanji 2. But I think the important thing is that in this world that we live in right now, it's good that these directors are allowed to make exactly what they want to do with a good budget and they're reliable sources of entertainment outside of...
Are you talking about Knives Out, or are you talking about Jumanji 2 now?
I'm talking about, no, Jumanji 2 is a sequel or like an existing IP that they're
Right.
trying to build a brand. Dwayne Johnson, all about that brand building.
Of course.
Okay?
Yeah.
Rian Johnson, all about that weird one-off movie that will never see a sequel potentially, and it's great. Like, and it's an Edgar Wright kind of thing also. Edgar Wright is all about... So Edgar Wright, Rian Johnson, people like these, all these directors, okay, are, have made their big kind of movie, whether it's a Scott Pilgrim or they'll make their big kind of adaptation or Star Wars or whatever it is, and then they'll just make like anything. Like a Joss Whedon making, Much Ado About Nothing. What was it?
Sure, yeah. Much Ado About Nothing.
Like, just let them do their thing, whatever they want, and those are the real gems of that we get to watch now and then, and it's like a treat. It's like, hey, here you go. Here's a film I just made with my friends a few months ago. Enjoy it. And back to Star Wars. That's what's gonna happen. That's what this movie is. It's like, hey, while we're waiting for Rise of Skywalker, only a movie that is 40 years down the line since the original, here's a fun movie for you to enjoy.
I'm with you all the way, but
Yeah.
Rise of Skywalker has nothing to do with Rian Johnson, does it?
No, it doesn't. But those kinds of movies, the IP big franchise movies, are proliferated. Like, it's like,
yes.
So I'm saying,
Sure, okay.
between the cracks of all these films,
Yeah.
which is what we're really... That's how we count our calendar, Jishnu. At Geek Fruit also, we do the same thing, right?
Completely.
We're like, what's happening this year? Geek Fruit's going to review Rise of Skywalker. What's happening? What's the first thing next year? F***ing Black Widow or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So that's how we kind of time our lives, like, when's the Marvel movies out? And between them, because that's how big they are, and I don't mind the Marvel movies at all. I'm not a hater. I'm not a Scorsese going out and saying, oh, man, all that
Right.
shit. Right? As far as I'm concerned, Scorsese's Irishman is just about as big as, like these other, because Scorsese has reached that point in his career
Completely.
that Irishman releases, holy shit, we all got to pay attention.
People
Yeah.
are, to that point, people are marketing Irishman just the same as they marketed Infinity War.
Exactly. It's as big
literally-
and
the
meme-ified.
USP. Forget the 20 movies all culminating into one plot line and one final story. Forget all that.
Yeah.
The main thing people were selling Infinity War with and Endgame with is, oh my god, all these actors together.
Yeah.
What are they doing with Irishman?
Same
oh my
thing.
god,
all the actors together again, once again.
You know the one line that they use to market Irishman is, Robert De Niro is a guy that paints houses and sometimes he does carpentry. That's a euphemism for killing people. That's it. That doesn't tell me anything about the movie.
I saw another tagline.
That
which
tells
was,
me nothing.
I'll tell you what it said.
What?
Pacino, De Niro,
Yes,
Pesci.
exactly.
Boom.
That's right. How is that different than?
It's not.
How is that different than RDJ,
It's
Chris
not.
Evans, Ruffalo, Scarlett Johansson, Josh Brolin?
I mean,
all
very
these guys.
different in that sense,
It's
but
the
I
same
get it.
thing.
I totally
It's the
understand.
exact same thing.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
USP is the same thing,
So-
except our guys don't wear. we wear suits, not capes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
And we go like, hey, no, listen, I agree. I'm not saying none of these are bad things. Okay, we all get what we want, right? We all get Irishman. We all get flippin' Endgame. We're getting Rise of Skywalker. But I'm saying, so the nice thing really is that don't even have to search too hard. Rian Johnson's a fairly big name now.
Yeah.
But between all of that, we get like a Knives Out, and that's great. I'm not going to think about this movie for far too long. Yes, it's a beautifully constructed film, and it's gorgeous. You know, it's like it reminded me, like, I mean, the house
It's a
setting.
fun time. It's
exactly,
just
it's a
such a
great old time at the cinema. Like I said,
time.
like, did you watch Crimson Peak?
No, I haven't.
Guillermo's film.
No.
Great film. Okay, that's what I love about Guillermo, when he's just doing his weirdest best. Your weirdest and best is who you are.
Sure.
And I really like that about, like, that's why I'm going to watch Ford v Ferrari.
Yep.
Which is James Mangold.
Mm-hmm.
But I was saying this about I'm not so pumped about it because it's a biopic-ish. It's kind of based on a true story. So, technically its fate is to shine. Okay.
Right.
Like these biopics, when you go in for Elton John or whatever it is, like what is that movie, the Queen movie
Bohemian
called?
Rhapsody.
Bohemian Rhapsody. You're not gonna watch something absolutely weird and not know how it's gonna end. Of course,
Right.
you know how it's gonna end. It's like these movies' fates are to shine, and you know how it's gonna be inspiring and hopeful and all.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go in for a nice, you really don't know what you're gonna expect, and I think that's nice.
But, well, if we're comparing filmmakers at this point, I think
I'm not even comparing the filmmakers. I'm comparing the genre of film. Like this is an indie film in many ways. Like
Yes, completely. But I think if you kind of need to take them together a little bit. Both
Yeah,
the
sure. No, I
filmmaker and
understand.
the genre, because
Yeah.
ultimately, even though we keep name dropping Star Wars as a benchmark, or even the MCU as a benchmark with regard to creating a particular form with a certain style, and then just patenting it, packaging it, putting it on the shelf, and be like, this is our main mannequin front and
I'm gonna
center
buy it,
for the next 10 years. Fair enough, and that takes a lot of effort and work, and it's easy to make fun of it because it's kind of like, oh, it's so cookie cutter. Yeah, but you couldn't cut that
cut
cookie.
that. Yeah,
You can't make that cookie.
No, none of us can. Yeah, I get it.
So the difference, though, I think, with the Rian Johnson as opposed to an Edgar Wright or a Wes Anderson is that those guys, yes, even though they're known for like the weird, quirky one-off kind of things, they've found their own groove so much so that they're arguably in some ways more predictable than an MCU movie.
Yeah.
Because with MCU movies, at least they try to they very actively bring in new people.
I agree.
Like with this
Yeah,
new phase,
I agree.
I don't know half the names of the filmmakers that are coming in. I don't know more than half the names of these filmmakers. I'm really excited for that.
completely agree.
But that being said, Rian Johnson, on the other hand, even though he does have the clout now to like just walk in and walk off of a Star Wars set and then go do his own weird, super sleuthing movie, he more so than a Wes Anderson or a Guillermo or who else were we talking about? Edgar Wright.
Yeah.
He very much is avant-garde and just does whatever the hell he wants. I can't think of a Rian Johnson style. I can think of a Rian Johnson visual style, but I can't say, like, with an Edgar Wright movie, you're going to get whip bands, you're going to get a Wes Anderson,
but that's there in this film. I feel like you can tell the same types of shots.
You can tell the same types of shots,
and
but
just
not
even dialogue.
I don't think I would see Last Jedi and watch this movie, and I wouldn't have guessed that it's by the same guy.
Okay, then I'd suggest. Have you seen Brick and Brothers Bloom? I'd say watch
I've
those
not.
films. Like those films are very much in the vein of this. I felt like this is the thread that connects those two films rather than say a Looper. I think Looper was him getting a bigger budget and Sony going like, yo, we love your style, do whatever you want. He's like, I have this cool science fiction story if you want to do, and it's cool. Which is why I kind of miss almost like Super 8 by J.J. Abrams, because post that he's gone on to just do a Star Trek or Star Wars, and it's like we've not seen his own brain kind of just do a weird lost type, like, it's cool, I get it, and I'm totally fine. Again, this is not me, like, but I just like to see, and this is what I still love about Chris Nolan, right? I mean, Chris Nolan, he's everything he does is an IP now. Like, it doesn't matter whether, but like post Batman, he's like, I want to take Batman Begins. He was like, I want to, WB was like, no, you gotta make another. He's like, no, I just want to make my own personal film. And then he made The Prestige. I was like, yo, that shit is amazing. Then they made The Dark Knight, and he's like, yo, we need a third part. He's like, no, I just want to make this small indie film of my own, just my own script. And then he made Inception. So it's like, allow them to do the IPs. I want to see another Batman. I want Matt Reeves doing the Batman is great. And I saw War of the Planet of the Apes, so I'm happy. But then when Batman gets over, they should go like, Matthews, what do you want to do? Just do whatever you want, and that film will be fucking amazing. And I think this is a nice formula that Amir Khan has been following for years. Okay, he says one for you, one for me. So he goes and he makes Gajini. I don't know what if that's one for him or us or whatever. I don't know. And then he goes and makes Doom 3. Now you decide which one is his and which one is the studio. I don't know.
Doom 3 is his, Gajini is Christopher Nolan.
both of them are Chris Nolan, by the way.
What's Doom
3 is the Prestige.
Oh,
yeah.
well.
He's a magician with
what?
A twin.
I thought it was Fast and the Furious.
No, it's dude.
It's
I will
Fast
show
and the
you.
Furious meets the Prestige.
Yes, something that can only happen in Bollywood.
The Fast and the Prestigious.
Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
well done. Yes, that's exactly what it is. So I don't mind. That's what this movie kind of reminds me of. When I watch this movie, I'm just like, oh, I'm so happy that this exists at all. That people like studios are still gonna do different weird kind of shit. And and this fits in squarely in the genre that we would still watch. Not like this is not. I don't think this is an award season movie. You were bringing that up. I don't think that this is that. Like
I would like it to be.
I would love it to be
because it's not your typical thing, but. Other than the fact that the story is not like a 12 Years a Slave kind of a
exactly,
pulling in
that's
your
what I'm
heart.
saying. That's the other type.
Other than that,
dude, that's
everything
the other
on paper
type.
is a straight up Oscar nominated.
Exactly, right? So if I may distill, and this is so unfair, cinema in Hollywood into three types. There's your mainstream, there's the 12 Years a Slave or Green Book or Moonlight or whatever it is, and then there's this type of film, which is
perfect because it does it right in the middle.
Yes,
it's entertaining
it's
as all hell. It's
entertaining,
entertaining, just as entertaining as any superhero movie. It's just as fast paced, just as witty as any amazing comedy out there. Yet, it also, like I said at the very beginning, it's rooted in a really strong message, handled excellently where it doesn't just depress you and it doesn't just have to be this super highbrow political, heavy rhetoric kind of a thing. It's like, this is a sleuth movie.
Yes, it was never just a sleuth movie.
Yeah, there's so much more. Isn't that the ideal thing rather than like,
I agree. I'm with you.
You don't have to dial it up to 11 on either end. You can find a middle ground and it can work for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, you can still say the same thing just with a lighter touch, and I just think that needs to be...
The important thing to note here is that all three... Oh, I'm saying three, there's so many genres, but all of these genres exist for a reason, right? Like, I mean, you do need a 12 Years a Slave. You do need that kind of movie to exist. I know it's very heavy-handed, but the story is important and it should have been told, and that's great.
Yeah.
Should the King's Speech have been told? Okay, it's a great story. Sure, let's go with it. And I like the light touch that it has, but should it have won an Oscar? I don't know. These are not things for me to decide. I don't know what the Academy is doing as how they pick shit. It's just everybody... I mean, it's good. Make the big IPs. Geek Food exists because of that.
Can I ask you?
Hit me.
Who the is the Hollywood Foreign Press? Who are these people?
They are a collection of 70 men and women.
Who? Give me their names.
They're all old farts, man.
Who?
I don't know.
Exactly. They're the first person that everybody thanks. Like, they'll be like, if I can forget to thank my wife, but if I forget the Hollywood Foreign Press, I will never get hired again. So, like, who the hell are these guys?
Secret service of they're like the Freemasons. Like, they meet as a cult underneath like some cellar, and they go like,
can we start a petition
to find an
Isn't it the year of the petition? Has it come and gone? Is it still the year of the petition?
We could petition for one more.
Can we petition to this Hollywood Foreign Press? Because I want to know who the hell is in charge.
The Hollywood Foreign Press, think about it. It's three terms. Hollywood, foreign, that's already an oxymoron.
Yeah, exactly.
But actually, Hollywood is made of immigrants. Man,
so could we technically be in the Hollywood Foreign Press?
No, we're not green card.
We're foreign.
Yeah, but we're not green card holders.
We're press. We're 2 out of the 3.
We're the loosest press term that you
We're a light touch. We're not a firm press.
This is press? What we're doing?
This is casually, we're casually nudging.
We're giving a review of the film and a review of the industry.
In a polite hour-long format.
Yes, you're right. Almost.
We'll get there.
No, you're right. I think, but they change members. It evolves. So, like people who are like us, young people who are more informed about the state of play in the industry, are joining the Hollywood Foreign Press.
If there are 70 of them, I want to know the diaspora. I want to know what's the diversity quotient like?
Yes, you're right. No, it's all good questions.
Are they all foreign?
All good questions.
Are they all stealing Americans' jobs then? Isn't that the
that's
big...
also a thing?
Yeah.
Do you remember Oscars So White? Hashtag Oscars So White?
Mm-hmm.
A couple of years ago, there were no black people. And now only black people win.
Yep.
Which is, it's like Mahershala won 2 Oscars since then. Do you remember? He won for Green Book and he's won for Moonlight as well. So anyway, that's not the point. The point is that, they respond to that kind of criticism because they know they're going to get shredded in the tweets.
And now they get a Gervais coming back for the Globes. For the 5th time or something like that?
For 5th and last time is what they say. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about it. Let's take a break. Then we'll talk about that. And we'll talk about the conclusion of this film, Knives Out.
Indubitably.
Hi guys, this is Ayushi.
And I am Ritasha.
And welcome to Agla Station Adulthood.
It's a fun podcast we've got going on and we'd love for you to tune in and enjoy with us.
Join us as we stop at various stations and discuss different topics that seem to be bothering us and hopefully
Dating,
you as well.
relationships, beauty, just being an adult, lots of different things.
We don't have a great grip on it, but we've done okay so far.
Catch Agla Station Adulthood every Thursday on the IVM app, the IVM website, or wherever else you get your podcasts.
Hey, we're back. We're talking about Knives Out, and we're also talking about movies like Knives Out. What's the last movie like this movie that you remember enjoying, which is like a standalone film?
Oh.
That came out this year.
Oh, God.
I know, this is such a hard thing to rack your brain for.
It's tip of my tongue. I want to say...
Hotel Bombay. Which is, by the way, in
Mumbai.
cinemas now.
It's in cinemas now.
Yeah, sorry, Mumbai.
Yeah.
We spoke about it maybe 6 months ago.
6 months ago, yeah.
So, that's weird.
I'm okay with a movie like this taking its own sweet time coming to India. That's fine.
And nobody cares about this.
And they shouldn't.
Hotel Mumbai.
I'll sign a petition for that movie.
To not
just to not happen. Out.
Yeah. Anyway,
the last animal movie I saw, I want to say, was a James Gunn movie called
Super?
No, Super. You mean Slither?
Super.
He has a Super and a Slither?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I've seen Slither. I've not seen Super. And the movie I'm thinking of is The Belko Experiment.
Mm.
Have you seen that?
No.
It's another fun, super weird guy that he did post Guardians 1, pre Guardians 2.
Mm-hmm. See?
Yep, and it's 90 minutes, exact same setup as this one, which is all takes place in one building. It's a bunch of people trapped in a building.
Correct.
And he, in his very now, I guess, patented horror comedy fashion.
Love that.
It's a bunch of people killing each other trapped in a building.
Amazing.
Which is the same thing as this bunch of people trapped in a building finding out who killed the guy.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
I think that's, of course, their creativity is defined by the limitations that they have on them because of scheduling and budget, and that's great. I think that's the best version of it. Yep. I haven't seen that movie, though, but I will check it out.
It's not one I'm going to watch multiple times, but it's a fun, like, hey, you want 90 minutes of just fun times?
Then allow me this hot take. I think filmmakers make their best films if they're contractually obligated to make, sequels of an IP that they have been handed, that they did not originate. But I think this is a great theory. It's like all the directors, whether it's a Joss Whedon or
so you're saying
Nolan
somebody
or
has
James
to put the
Gunn.
ball in the air, you just have to keep it up. As opposed to you
like
make
when
the
they have
ball
been-
and then you pick it up and then you throw it and you keep it in the air.
I say their best work is coming between those films. And obviously it's undeniable. I mean, we talk about Last Jedi for so long. I mean, we still talk about that film and how good it is and how much we love it.
That's just us.
But you know what? Somebody's got to do it. And I just find it to be really. I think it's cool that they feel like, oh man, I've done this studio job. I just got to make something for me, man. I got to make something for me, and then they go and churn out this sick album. Joss Whedon did that. I remember between Avengers 1 and 2. So Joss Whedon's known for. I've told the story before on the podcast, but it was so many years ago. Between 1 and 2, he goes on all these crowdfunding websites a lot, and I think he found this artist or something like that, songwriter, just like any one of us, man.
Oh, right.
And he went and he funded it, and then he said, "Oh, can I write some of the songs with you?" So they never met. I don't know if they met till date. Actually, may have, but they ended up working on an album together where he wrote the lyrics, some parts of the lyrics, and she wrote the songs, and they collaborated, and it was cool, and it's great. The songs are good, so I love that kind of shit, man. I think that's always nice to have between Avengers Age of Ultron and everything else. I think it's nice.
Okay, but then to further challenge this theory that the best job a director can do is when it's a pre-existing thing you come into and then you just make it weird because people already know what to expect and all you have to do is subvert expectation.
Yeah.
We can delve into this more when we finally get into a Mandalorian episode because I'm really curious what do you think of Bryce Dallas Howard's directing
Great.
a Star Wars thing.
I mean,
I didn't see that coming. Isn't that the prime example of this?
I'll give you the best thing that has come of Bryce Dallas Howard directing anything. Okay, and it will be that we'll finally get some answers as to what Ron Howard is when he directs. You know, there's this amazing theory online that we don't know who Ron Howard is. Have you heard about this thing? It's quite funny, actually. I think about it a lot.
Subreddit you're on.
Do you know, like every director who directs anything puts their, whether it's their own material or they're taking hold of a franchise or anything. Rian Johnson, J.J. Abrams, blah blah blah. Take hold of a franchise, but their stamp is very noticeable on it, right? Mm-hmm. So Rian Johnson directing Last Jedi, all the quirky bits of, you know, the iron and all that shit coming down.
Oh, so you're going to say what was Ron Howard doing with Solo?
Not just Solo. What is Ron Howard? What is his style? I just don't know, man. Is it efficiency? Doing it under budget? Is it just good? Like, you know what? Ron Howard is like a dad who has like 6 kids and he has to pay for their school fees and he has to make sure everybody has a sandwich in their bags before going to school.
He's a good, honest hard worker.
He's an honest, hardworking man who is one of the biggest directors in the world.
Who's one of the safest bets.
He's a safe bet. That's exactly. No, but what? So now here's my thing. What is Ron Howard's style?
He's vanilla.
What is it?
He's vanilla.
Have you seen
But there's
Rush?
nothing wrong with vanilla.
Have you seen Rush?
No, I've not. Yeah.
Great film.
Oh,
okay. It's Chris Hemsworth,
Right.
Daniel Brühl, and F1 based on a story, true story. Then he made Solo.
Yeah.
Fine.
Fine. Okay.
He's made so many things. But what is he saying by those films? I don't know anymore. I'm so confused.
I'll give you that. He's very forgettable.
It's not unforgettable. It's just like, okay.
Yeah, but...
Yeah. So,
you know.
my point is, Bryce Dallas Howard
Yeah.
is the key. She's the key. I mean, I'm hoping she's her own person. She's her own person, of course. But I just want to know if there's an answer lying in that. What is Ron Howard? But anyway, point is, Mandalorian's, doing just fine by itself. Anyway, I would like to conclude this episode by Jishnu, you telling me what you thought of the ending of the film, and do you have any criticisms of the film? I had one. I thought it was a little too long, but I thought that was fine. I mean, it was fine. I love to be in the world,
sure.
But I think it could have been, a little. But then, it's fine.
I think
I like it when they indulge it.
My only main critique is the same critique I have with pretty much all of these kinds of movies, which is the same critique I have with most superhero movies. Your third act, predictable. And so the best part of any sleuth story is the beginning and the
middle.
Most of the middle. And then what I didn't like is just the fact that the minute Benoit Blanc begins his little soliloquy at the end of just like telling you everything that happened, there's nothing more beyond that. I was really hoping that they would like put like the nail on the head about something else.
Or there's like a nice like ending which is like unanswered ending, like an open ending, something like that?
No, it doesn't have to be an open ending, but just something beyond just the, all right, now we know who done it.
Told you so.
Yeah.
I think the ending...
beyond it, I told you so.
I think the...
But that's the form.
You're right. It's the form. But you know what was nice about it is that like we got like a lot of really good payoffs in this. But there's so many good setup and payoffs in this movie, whether it's the coffee mug or, or just the knife, just the actual knife which is set up beautifully in the film.
Yeah.
And I think just those last few moments are like, okay, here you go. This is the ending. But here's the cool and sneaky and snarky way it ends, because the character who's in question, Ana de Armas's character, she's like this kind of innocent, and there's like a nice thing about her character that she can't lie without throwing up. I thought that was really funny and such a classic line. Anyway, so she can't do that, and at the end she kind of gets it's like a comeuppance that she didn't really want but she deserved. And I think the cool thing about this is that she keeps saying that sorry, we're spoiling this movie, okay, but the good thing about this this ending is that what I liked about is that Daniel Craig's character tells an important thing, which is part of the subtext, I guess, that it's not just that there was not like negligence or manslaughter or anything that, she is actually responsible. She's like, you actually are a good nurse and you're a good person, and that's why you deserve it. And the cool idea that what is true, and that's the nicest thing about all these like whodunits, like at least the best Agatha Christie ones are, it's not about who actually did it, and it's not about who, but it's about who deserves the right ending. Do you know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
And I think that's like quite nicely put into this. Like, and that's what Murder on the Orient Express is also. In the ending of that film, I mean, it's a very popular one, but Poirot says that I've come up with two solutions, and one is the actual truth. The you cannot, like, it's the unimpeachable truth, right? And the other one is what is right, and like who deserves what, and like and that's the one with heart, and they go with that eventually, and Poirot like kind of submits to it, saying that, you know what, usually I would always, it's my job to bring people to justice, but this is, sometimes things in the world are more than that, and this is one of those examples, and I really, really liked that. That's the ending really of the film, more than, and that's why I say, when they reveal the plot a lot earlier, I was like, oh cool, now it has to go somewhere from here. And it's a classic writing yourself into a corner, not unlike killing off Snoke, halfway through The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
So I like that kind of idea. Anyway, good film. Well done, Rian Johnson.
Shabash.
Really, what a good boy he is. I love it. Anyway.
Solid 8 on 10.
Jishnu, we are getting closer and closer towards our 300th episode, The Rise of Skywalker, and our ultimate takes on the best film of 2019, by the way. Jishnu, 2019 is what I'm going to say. 19.
Okay.
So you cannot cite Logan. No Infinity War allowed.
When did Logan Lucky come out?
Yeah, no, still 2017. All 2017. Point is, it's time to start rounding up our favorite movies and TV shows of this year. We're also asking people to tell us what their favorites are of this year. So, write to us, contact geekfood@gmail.com, and also tell us on our social media, and that would be nice, and we'll tell you what ours are. Even if we haven't, what I like about our, our takes on what our favorites are is that we haven't actually seen everything, so it's impossible for us to get a definitive answer, but it is our answer. So that's what's great about it. It's like, people be like, but I think the best movie of this year is Terminator Dark Fate. And you'll be like, but didn't you see Endgame? No, I didn't. But Terminator is the best. And that will be our take. Definitively. Our take. Not the actual what is true.
Let's go with that.
Also, one more thing. Wait, we have one more thing to say.
Oh my god.
This episode is probably going to come out after we... Comic-Con was great. Anyway, let's move on. Thank you so much for being here, Jishnu.
Jeebus.
Alright, we'll see you next week, you nerds.
What do we have to do?
Welcome to What to Play, you guys. This is the favorite sports podcast of several sports persons such as myself, Dudeja and Mikhail, who also happen to be the hosts.
Yes, you should definitely listen to our podcast for our take, and quite a uninformed but hilarious take on sports every week. We give out awards, we discuss what happened in the world of sports, and
we take breaks as well.
We come up with jingles and sound effects on the go. So you should definitely give us an example of a sound effect, Dudeja.
Bolo Matthew Vade.
Yeah, tune in for some of that, bro. You can catch us on the IVM network every Wednesday on the go. On the Wednesday, in the Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday, What a Player. What a Player W, Wednesday W. Wow.
Oh, Wednesday. Wednesday to Wednesday, What a Player, Matthew Vade.
Advertising is dead. Yep, you heard me right. Advertising is dead. We're all in the content business now. Let's not call it news, TV, radio, etc., etc. It's all content, and we're in the middle of this weirdly exciting phase where all the borders and lines that have been drawn over decades has been swept away by this lovely thing called the internet. We're a show where we don't dwell on just the stuff that is now, but rather the wider stuff about advertising, media, content, and the whole goddamn circus surrounding it. Tune in every Tuesday for our weekly unboxing of the mystery box we used to call advertising. I'm Varun Dugirala, co-founder and content chief at The Glitch, and this is my new podcast, Advertising is Dead.